Hybridisation is a really tricky issue to deal with when it comes to conservation of any species. And the reason is that you're trying to separate two things that are kind of in a way indistinguishable. So we've got two different species that can actually breed together and produce offspring. And then those offspring might breed with other hybrids or other members of the parent species. And so very quickly you get a blurring of the lines between what two different species are. In the case of wildcat and domestic cats, it's really complicated because domestic cats were domesticated from its wild relative fairly recently, and so the genetic difference in the first place between these two species is really, really small. If you think about humans and chimpanzees, we share a vast proportion, over 90% of our DNA, and that proportion is even greater when it comes to wildcats and domestic cats. And so when we're trying to sort out the difference between what a wildcat and a domestic cat is, we're really trying to look at a very small number of genes that represent that difference. And that's quite a hard thing to do. Of course, we can expect that hybridisation between domestic cats and wildcats has been going on for many hundreds of years, but it's just that the level that's happening now is unprecedented because the populations have shrunk to such a small size that hybridisation, if you like, has a larger impact on that population than it would have done historically. And that's a classic thing that we see with hybridising systems, is that a certain amount of hybridisation can be tolerated on the fringes of a large population, but then as the population shrinks, perhaps because it's hunted or because of habitat changes, then the relative impact of hybridisation on that species becomes larger and larger.